Welcome to The Growth Spurt, a weekly AI podcast by the Second Baptist Church of Ann Arbor.
Yes.
This week, we're diving into Dr. Stephen J. Daniels Sr.'s sermon.
Right.
The same page, the same team. You know, we all want those rock-solid relationships,
Yeah.
the kind that can weather any storm.
For sure.
And this sermon,
Yeah.
well, it gives us the blueprint, using the story of Adam and Eve, no less.
It's amazing how he takes this ancient story and makes it so relevant to our lives today. You know, he uses Genesis chapters 2.15, 17, and 3.1 to 7
Right.
specifically to pinpoint those universal challenges we all face when it comes to communication,
Exactly.
teamwork, and accountability.
And think about the Garden of Eden. It's like this
Yeah.
picture-perfect relationship paradise, right?
Right.
But Dr. Daniels shows us how quickly things can go wrong when we're not on the same page.
Yeah, it's like he's saying, look, even in the Garden of Eden, with everything seemingly perfect, miscommunication and selfishness can creep in and wreak havoc.
And that's where it gets really thought-provoking.
Yeah.
You know how we always picture the forbidden fruit as an apple?
Right.
Dr. Daniels points out that the Bible simply calls it fruit. It makes you realize how our assumptions can color our understanding of things,
Yeah.
even in relationships.
It's a great reminder to always question our assumptions and go back to the source, whether it's scripture or those crucial conversations with our loved ones.
So let's unpack those three major pitfalls
Okay.
Dr. Daniels highlights in the Garden of Eden story.
Okay.
First up is that communication breakdown.
Right.
We hear how Eve relays God's instructions to the serpent, but it's different from what God actually said.
Yeah.
It's like a game of telephone gone wrong.
And that's where the seeds of discord are sown. You'll discover how even slight misinterpretations, like Eve's retelling of God's command, can snowball into major relationship issues.
Oh, yeah.
It underscores the importance of crystal clear communication, especially when it comes to important matters.
Right. Because it's not just about talking. It's about truly understanding each other.
Right.
And then there's the lure of selfishness.
Right.
Eve knows she's not supposed to eat the fruit, but her desire for wisdom trumps everything else.
Yeah.
It's like she chooses her own desires over the well-being of the relationship.
That's something we can all relate to, right? That internal battle between what we want and what's best for the relationship.
Yeah.
It makes you think about the psychological factors at play, like how our individual needs and desires can sometimes overshadow the needs of the partnership.
It's a tough balance, for
Yeah.
sure. And then we come to the question of accountability,
Okay.
or rather, the lack of it.
Okay.
Dr. Daniels asks this powerful question.
Yeah.
Where was Adam
Mm.
during this whole interaction between Eve and the serpent?
It's almost like he's holding a mirror up to us and asking, are we actively participating in our relationships?
Yeah.
Or are we sitting on the sidelines letting things unfold without taking responsibility?
It's a call to action, isn't it?
Yeah.
To step up and be present.
Right.
Not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually as well.
Exactly. And Dr. Daniels doesn't just leave us hanging with this abstract concept. He brings it down to earth by connecting these three pitfalls to modern-day relationship challenges. Think financial disagreements, communication breakdowns, those everyday situations that test the strength of our bonds.
Like that example he gives about buying a new car when you're trying to get out of debt as a couple. Ouch, that hit close to home for me.
Right. It's these real-world examples that make the sermon so relatable and impactful. He uses humor.
Yeah.
But the underlying message is clear. Putting individual desires ahead of shared goals can have serious consequences.
Yes.
And sometimes those consequences can be pretty painful. And that's where Dr. Daniels introduces this powerful analogy from the movie The Defiant Ones.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
Two escaped prisoners chained together, forced to cooperate to survive.
It's such a vivid image, isn't it?
Yes.
At first glance, it seemed completely at odds.
Right.
But they have to find a way to work together to become a team, or they're both doomed.
Exactly. And Dr. Daniels uses this to highlight the importance of shared purpose in any relationship. Even when we start off feeling chained together by circumstance,
Right.
by our differences, we can still find that common ground,
Yeah.
that unity that allows us to achieve something greater than we could alone.
It makes you think about all those times we've stubbornly gone our own way in relationships instead of pulling together, rowing in the same direction.
And the consequences. Well, Dr. Daniels makes it crystal clear: division, separation, a breakdown of trust that can be incredibly difficult to repair. He really drives home the point that a lack of accountability can erode the very foundation of a relationship.
He even points out that Adam never questions Eve's actions or tries to stop her from eating the fruit even though he's right there.
Right.
It's like he's passively watching their world crumble around them.
It's a powerful message about the responsibility we have to speak up, to support each other, to be active participants in our relationships, not passive bystanders. And Dr. Daniels takes it a step further, challenging us to ask ourselves, where are we when the people we care about are facing temptation or making choices that could harm them or the relationship?
It's such a sobering question, isn't it? It's so easy to get caught up in our own lives and not realize that someone we love might be struggling or heading down a dangerous path.
Absolutely. And that's why Dr. Daniels emphasizes the importance of having accountability partners, those trusted individuals who will tell us the truth, even when it's hard to hear.
Yeah.
It's about having people in our lives who will lovingly call us out when we're wrong, but also encourage and support us on the right path.
He's not talking about yes people, though, right?
Yeah.
Those folks who just tell us what we want to hear, regardless of whether it's good for us or not.
Exactly. True accountability is rooted in love and genuine concern for the other person's well-being. It's about wanting what's best for them, even if it means having difficult conversations or holding them to a higher standard.
And that kind of accountability is crucial for healthy relationships, whether it's with our spouse, our family, our friends, or even within our church community.
Dr. Daniels reminds us that it's not about being perfect, but about striving to be better, communicating more effectively, being less selfish, and holding each other accountable with love and grace.
And when we do that, he says we experience a peace that surpasses all understanding.
Right. That's a promise worth holding on to, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And Dr. Daniels leaves us with this lingering question: where was Adam? It's a question that resonates long after the sermon is over, prompting us to examine our own roles in our relationships and consider how we can be better partners, better friends, and better members of our community.
And it really makes you stop and think,
It does.
about how we can all do better in our own relationships. And you know what's fascinating here? This sermon, it's only part one of a two-part series.
Oh, that's right. Next week.
Yeah, next week, Dr. Daniels is tackling the blame game.
So he left us with that image of Adam and Eve facing the consequences of their actions.
Exactly. And you can bet they're going to try and shift the blame.
That makes you wonder, doesn't it? How often do we try to avoid taking responsibility
Yeah.
for our own missteps in relationships? It's so easy to point fingers.
It is, but real growth happens when we own our part in a situation and work together to find solutions. That's what being on the same team is all about.
So it sounds like Dr. Daniels is going to deliver a powerful message about forgiveness, reconciliation, and the importance of moving forward together.
I think so, too. And it all ties back to the core message of the sermon, the same page, the same team.
Right.
We can't truly be a team if we're constantly blaming each other.
It's about understanding that we all make mistakes, but we can choose to learn from them and grow stronger as individuals and as a couple.
Dr. Daniels really gave us a lot to chew on today.
He did. This is a message that speaks to all of us no matter what kind of relationship we're in.
So as you go through your week, remember to prioritize communication.
Yes.
Choose unity over selfishness and hold each other accountable with love and respect.
Go in peace, be blessed, and may the joy of Jesus be yours. We'll see you next week.